Hello, my name is Annalie Carruthers, and I am the organizer of the Toyin Falola interviews. Welcome. In this series, Dr. Falola, globally renowned scholar and professor, will interview scholars and policymakers whose work and research are particularly relevant for the African continent and its peoples, including the diaspora. Dr. Falola will also discuss the scholars' most recent books with them. The ultimate goal in this series is to promote the work of great minds and to spread knowledge to the general public about current intellectual projects that these great minds are pursuing. Research themes can include, but are not limited to, the following: African affairs, African migration, religion, culture, intellectual history, development issues, theories, women's rights, disability rights, post-colonial society in Africa and other parts of the global South, and globalization. These discussions will be recorded over Zoom, and these recordings will be distributed on the Toyin Falola Network Facebook page, Twitter, and website. Thank you very much for joining us, and we hope that you enjoy.
More people. There's so many great people with us. I've seen one of our most distinguished literary writers. Many of you probably know her very well. Akechi Ezegbo. If you have not read her work, you should. I've seen the Vice Chancellor of Fountain University, Cyril Obi, who is a program officer for social sciences in New York. I saw my daughter, Bisola, who works for Open Society. Welcome for joining us. If I don't mention your name, it's not a slight. So I'm just telling you how heavy this is. I've seen one of the heads of the psychiatrist division at Yaba Psychiatric Hospital. Premium Times is being represented. Bamdele is here with us. We have Chisholm, we have Nduka, Ken Arrow, all these Chido, thank you for them being care of Rutgers. So this is a very high-powered audience, which I truly like. Our last but not the least of the professors, before we leave the professors alone, is Professor Olajumoke Aliso, who is very well known as well in various capacities. She's monitored elections in Nigeria. If you've been watching the last presidential elections, Edo elections, she was appearing on televisions almost every day. She works many times with Professor Jibril Ibrahim in the democracy movement. She's the current dean of the School of Social Sciences at Babcock University. She writes on international relations and politics, and Rhodes University has invited her for a sabbatical to come and teach beginning from January, attesting to her stature. Thanks so much and welcome, Professor Aliso.
Thank you very much, Professor Falola. I do hope everyone can hear me. And it's my pleasure, of course, to meet the great Aisha Yesufu. And I have to tell you that you almost crossed my heart a few minutes ago when you said you do not see your identities. And I want to start my discussion from there, that you do not see labels, rather, you would rather just be yourself. Because I want to take off from the point at which a lot of young people, a lot of women, and a lot of people from your part of the country see you as a role model, specifically because of those labels that you wish to reject. I don't know if you have a response to this before I ask about other specific issues.
Okay, so one of the things for me growing up was that I realized that people were limited with their labels, even as a child. So they will say to you, "Oh, you're the good child," and they will pat your head, but you're not supposed to speak up. You're not supposed to make demands. When you make demands, you're not a good child. So I never wanted any of that. So it's a validation sometimes that they used to hold one down, and then they will say to, "Oh, but you are a girl. Why are you doing this? Girls are not supposed to do this. Oh, you are this." And so I felt, right from a very young age, I didn't want to have anything to do with that. Whatever you see me as, that's your own personal business. I just know that I'm this human being who is on earth to live my life, and I need to do that. So I deliberately just refuse to hold on to those labels, because you see that people want to box you with their expectation into a particular place, and then they want you to stay. They want to limit you there. So it's like, oh, some people even say to me, "Oh, but why have you abandoned Bring Back Our Girls movement? Why are you speaking on NSAS? Whenever I take on any issue, oh, why are you speaking on this issue?" I'm like, how? You don't own my voice. You don't own me. The fact that I spoke the first time you saw me was Bring Back Our Girls movement doesn't mean that, oh, that's only what I'm supposed to talk about. I can't talk on other issues. So for me, it was something that I deliberately did as a child, because I grew up in a society where, as a woman, you were supposedly limited. I remember my father initially felt that, oh, his no daughter of his would go beyond secondary school. So we're supposed to, after secondary school, we're supposed to go and get married. And it was something that I never wanted. I'm like, why would my male counterpart be the one to go to school and I wouldn't go to school? When I actually finished my secondary school, I wanted to go to the Nigerian Defense Academy. And I was told that women are not allowed to go, because I wanted to be in the military. And I was told that women are not allowed to go, and girls are not. And I was really angry. And I felt, why would you do that? So for me, that was the deliberate. For me, it's maybe, I don't know whether to call it a survival skills, or that's the way I've been, that I don't want anybody's label. This is just who I am, and I'm just me.
Thank you very much. And let me just say that you do not have to be to have attended the Defense Academy to fight and defend and basically do what the military should be doing. What you're doing is indeed commendable. I am also intrigued by the continuities between the Bring Back Our Girls movement and the current NSAS movement. I do not know to what extent you've said a lot about this, but perhaps just crystallize for us in a bit how the Bring Back Our Girls movement, with its successes, and if I may call it that, I wouldn't really call it that, successes and would I say aspirations, since some of the expectations are still not met. Yes. To what extent has this shaped your optimism expressed at the beginning of this session about the capacity of Nigeria for change going forward, for a better future? Are you more optimistic, less optimistic? And then we have the NSAS movement and the violent crackdown. Do you retain the optimism with which on your 40th birthday, by the way, I am looking at my 40th birthday in 2 weeks or so. And so hearing you say that, I'm thinking, should I do something revolutionary now too? So just please speak to that.
Okay. Thank you so much, and we look forward to welcoming you to the 40s. Even though I'm going to be on my way out of the 40s anyway. So I think for me, I'm absolutely optimistic. So maybe because of the kind of life that I had, like I said earlier, I've never had anything. Everything I have, I've had to fight. I mean, when I say fight, I mean fight, literally fight for everything. In terms of my dreams, in terms of my goals, in terms of the kind of life I wanted to have, because I grew up in a place where I dreamt bigger than even my parents, bigger than my family, and it was so. And I'm sure sometimes I sit down like, oh, I must have been a difficult child, because we're like, where did you come out from? We are here, we don't have anything, and you're busy saying you want to travel the world. Travel the world when you don't even have a meal in your stomach. And I remember my parents saying to me, my mom most especially would say, we used to be able to stay in a man's house because I didn't like housework. I love to read books and all of that. So I got used to that. In 2014, like I mentioned earlier, my mom called me and said to me, thank you for dreaming for the whole family. So for me, I always see what I say something, when you're living history, it grinds so slowly. So in one sentence, we would say, Nelson Mandela spent 27 years in prison and he came out to become president. That's one sentence. But 27 years, it's 1 second going into 1 minute, going into 1 hour, going into 24 hours, going into a day, going into a week going to months going into years going to decade, first decade, second one, and 7. It's a long time. And so when you say things that are, for me, I always look at what are the positives that are happening. With the Bring Back Our Girls movement, it was amazing. For the first time, I realized, look, the lie that they say to us, that Nigerians are not united, Nigerians can never come together and do something together, was a lie. At the Bring Back Our Girls movement, we were united. There were Nigerians from different tribes, different religion, different political parties, APC, PDP, and others were all there, different educational qualification, different economic status, but we came together as one. And when we came together, we only had one singularity of purpose, and that was bring back our girls. And so we were able to unite and work and work. And we did it. We are a self-funded movement that never received a dime from anyone. Even when we won the Emilio Mignoni humanitarian award given to us by the Argentinian government, we refused to collect the cash money that came with it. We collect the plaque and said no, because we are a self-funded movement. And we were able to do all of this and run the movement. So, and people got their voices. And over the years, from the Bring Back Our Girls movement, there have been different movements that have come from different members of the Bring Back Our Girls movement doing different things. We have Citizen Mohammed Kiana, fighting for the Almajiri children. We have someone like Buki Sean Ebare doing so many. So a lot of different organizations have come out from there. And beyond that also is that people have gotten to own their voices. People have gotten to see the importance of making demands, that silence is not an option, not at all. And being passive citizens is never the way to grow a nation. And so that seriously happened. So I'm absolutely optimistic. And then with what happened with the NSAS movement, oh my goodness, I'm in awe of them. And I said to them, thank you. I did a tweet and I said to them, what my parents couldn't do for me, what I couldn't do for myself, you are doing it for us. You're coming together and you're doing this. You're fighting for Nigeria. You're standing united. You didn't say the wrongly. There was no fight. There was nothing focused on people's religion or people's choices or people's tribe. It was just on the fact that they had a singularity of purpose, which was answered, and they went through it. And the way they were able to organize themselves, this shows us that indeed, if Nigeria gets the kind of right leadership and people putting people square holes in square pegs in square holes, that we will get to the Nigeria that we want. That it's not rocket science. We saw what the way the NSAS movement were able to organize themselves, provide logistics. They took care, welfare, security, health, because at one time the police refused to secure them, so they had to get in private security. Government hospitals were refusing to receive some of the people who are injured. They had to get their own private hospitals. Some private hospitals even rejected, but they were able to come together. You saw doctors amongst them coming together and treating people. They even had a helpline within 2 weeks. For me, I am so optimistic, and I know that Nigeria, we've gotten to a place where we'll never get before. It's just like the educated mind. Once educated, can never come back to the state it used to be before. And the high-handedness from the government is because the government truly is afraid, because it knows that the Nigerian voice has been awakened.
Thank you very much. Would you run for public office if the opportunity presented itself?
I don't know. Honestly, I'm very lazy, and for me, I'm very. I'm somebody who I'm very honest with myself, and I know what my strengths are and what my weaknesses are, and that's always how I have lived all my life. I don't think I would be that interested. One of the things I know that, for example, appointment or working for anyone is a no-no, never ever. In terms of politics, I might not know. Maybe one day I will be less lazy and less selfish, because I'm the kind of person, I love to control what I do, how I do it, when I do it. I'm a control freak. So I don't want a situation where I'm accountable to the people. If I decide I'm going to talk, I'm going to talk. If I don't want to talk, I'm not going to work. So for me, that's a major issue. And then also the fact that I'm not much of a process person who sits down, oh, this has to be done. I'm more of like, I see what needs to be done, and I will tell you this is it. Even in my business, that's what I do. But what I normally would do is I have a team that work. So they do the work. So I'm not sure. I would say most likely no, but maybe when I'm less selfish and then I feel like I want to serve, because right now, honestly, I really don't want to serve, and it's not a good thing. And I see some people try to look at it from the far. Oh, no, it's actually not a good thing. But maybe one day, if I want to, but for now, no, I don't think so.
Thank you. It's been my pleasure. And let me just say, keep doing what you do. It's making a great impact. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, bro. And happy birthday in advance.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. I've been enjoying this, and among us is a distinguished professor of gender studies, Professor Bridget Tibo. She actually writes on many. As you are talking, I'm connecting myself with her books and essays. She wrote a book on unruly women, talking about how society perceives them when they disagree. But more interestingly is that she's writing on a mother who was an activist of a different kind. Thanks for joining us, Professor Tibo. Maybe one day I will persuade you to go and write a book on Aisha Yesufu and go to Abuja to collect the data. Well, we want to move on with the program. Thank you all the professors, but this is what we have been waiting for, the younger generation. We're going to phase out the older generation and now welcome a younger generation to join us. And in this younger generation, we will bring another person, Nathan. He got involved in the NSAS program as a major photographer of the movement. So the students will field questions to you and Nathan. So, yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So, hello everyone. I'm getting everything set up. I'd just like to let you to carry on with what the professor just said. So we're adding Nathan on right now, and he was involved with the NSARS movements and the protests, and he has been has played a very prominent role in the movement. Although, sorry, I think we might have a problem at the moment.
Well, if you're having a problem, can we go with questions?
Yes, I think
for now. I see one question that has been coming up that I would love to take on and answer. Okay, thank you so much. So I think I didn't open the chat.
Question. Can you mention the person's name?
Oh, I can't. Okay, that means I'll have to go to the chat.
Don't worry, but ask the question. I will ask him. Anna will usually mention the person's name.
Oh, yeah, okay, the person's name. So I saw quite a number. I saw someone who was saying something about, why didn't I hold my husband accountable? He's allegedly supposed to have stolen money from NHIS. So I think I saw some of that going on. So the thing is that, it's really funny that in Nigeria, when you stand to speak, they will look for everything to just put at you. And I'm one person who I always say to people, well, first of all, I don't really care what people say. And whatever allegation that you say, if my husband has stolen money, please, we will get him into jail. That's what EFCC is supposed to be about. And I've said this before, and I'm going to repeat it again. I hold myself to higher standards than I hold anyone else. The person that is at the NHIS, his name is Professor Usman Yusuf. I've never seen him. I don't know him. He was the one that was ES. He was the one that was accused of carrying away, is it 6 vehicles or 7 vehicles away, and involved in about 900 million naira fraud. He was sacked by the then Minister of Health. And then when he was sacked, the president reinstated him. And then that was, I think he was sacked in 2018. The president reinstated him. And then finally, the president then sacked him in 2019. And I see a lot of people whom I call Buharis, those who always attacking me, came up and said that, oh, he's my husband. No, he's not my husband. I've never seen him. And please, the prosecution can go on. Before then, yes, my husband did work at NHIS. He worked there for 8 years, from 2005 to about 2013 was when he left there. And when my husband got that job, Aisha Yesufu, I wrote him a letter and I said to him, you're going into public service. My husband, by the way, is a chartered accountant. He has been a chartered accountant of over 30 years, and he had worked in a particular accounting firm. And that was first of all KPMG. Then he now worked with Akintola Williams for 16 years before he went to go for public service, which he did only 8 years. And I said to him, you don't touch anything there. And I know the kind of man I married, and he had values. And when he got into NHIS, and the records are there, I've said to them, please, if you think my husband has done anything, come and arrest him. I will help you to prosecute him. He will go to jail, but we will continue our love in jail. When he comes out, then I'm going to ask him, all this time that we're suffering to give our kids the best of education. So you had money somewhere and we're all suffering and everything. So I don't understand where this comes from. First of all, let me repeat, professor, and he's a professor now, and I just finished talking with amazing professors. But then Professor Usman Yusuf is the one alleged to have looted NHIS, definitely not my husband. Like I was saying earlier, my husband was the GM from 2005 to 2013. He was first GM funds management, then GM finance and account, and he stood and protected the nation's money. NHIS had less than about 10 billion naira. Then when my husband was leaving, they left over 120 billion. And that's the money that repeatedly people have been, the whole corruption thing went on there. And I've dared the government severally, and I've said to them, go and check those records. And I want you to come out and actually tell the world what my husband did there in ensuring that nothing was done within that period that he held sway over the coffers of the nation. And recently, of course, there was another thing that they did where they were saying, oh, checking and finding out whether my husband took some money, and that's the reason why I speak. I have been financially independent for even before my 40th birthday. That's part of the things that I worked for. I met my husband in 1996. In 1997, when we started cutting, one of the things my husband said to me was that you have to be financially independent to be able to own your own voice. So it's something that I do. I actually teach financial literacy. I've been doing business since the year 2000. I'm a businesswoman. I'm a distributor for a good number of companies, and I build houses. I buy land. So I have my own money. I don't need somebody else's money to be able to speak on issues. I just needed to address that. Thank you, Prof.
Thank you.
Yes. So
are we ready?
Everyone, yes, we're ready. I'd like to introduce Nathan Cheyenne.
Can you remove me from the...
Yes, goodbye, Professor. And Nathan Cheyenne, like I said, played a prominent role in the End SARS protests. I think that he represents the voice of the younger generation in some ways, because he's been on the street, he's been cataloging the events, and he's been involved heavily. I'm also going to bring on a member of our crew. Her name is Sierra. She is a student here at the University at Texas at Austin, and today she'll be asking questions.
Hello. I just wanted to thank you guys so much for coming. We really appreciate it. So the first question that I have is going to be from Joy Usuji. And the question is, as activists, what critical steps should be taken in Nigeria to stop government corruption right now?
Okay, so I should go ahead with the answer?
Yes, I would love to hear from both of y'all.
So the critical steps that need to be done right now is to first of all fix our politics. We can't fix Nigeria without fixing our politics. We need to ensure that we get people with competence, character, capacity, people with empathy, people who are patriotic into office. And when we have them in office and then begin to work on having strong institutions, right now what we have are strong men and women and not strong institutions, and there's so much abuse of that. And then so fixing politics is one of it. And how do we do that? By ensuring we have empowered electorates, by ensuring that the right kind of people run for office, and then by ensuring that the regulators are truly independent and are able to give a free and fair election. So that's very important. The next thing, of course, is that we need to have an overhaul of the judiciary system. The judiciary system is the biggest problem we have in Nigeria. Even the politicians that we have in offices, how did most of them get there? It's through tribunal and everything. You begin to see one judgment, one way, skilled judgment, one way or the other. So there needs to be a reform of the judiciary system and everything. And so these are two critical things that we need to do. And most importantly also, which has to do with having the right kind of people in office, is to ensure education. I've always said democracy without education is a disaster. And we need people who are educated. We need free, good quality education, especially primary and secondary school level. Today, for me, the greatest injustice in Nigeria today is that access to good quality education is dependent on the economic status of one's family, and that's a crime, because education is the easiest way to break the shackles of poverty. Is the leveler, and yeah, here we have a lot of people who are being denied that education, and then politicians end up weaponizing illiteracy, and they weaponize poverty and perpetuate themselves in office. Thank you.
1 second before Nathan answer that corruption question. Can you introduce yourself and what you did?
All right. My name is Nathan Cheyenne. Where do I start from? What do I do? I'm a creative producer. What else do I need to do to introduce myself? Anything specific, particular? Like my internet has been going in and out, so I've been missing a couple things here and there.
So I would say, right, since we're talking about a lot of activism now, right? I think tell us about how. First of all, tell us about, you already tell us you're a creative producer, right? But tell us a little bit more about how you got involved with the EndSARS protest, right? Why you got involved with it, and yeah, things like that.
So a bit of backstory for me. I studied communication, culture, and media. And for me, culture has been very, very important, and communication and media, and they all are intertwined in so many ways. And I feel for me, injustice to one person in any way is an injustice to all, because we as people who claim to be righteous people, who claim to be God-fearing people, who claim to always do what's right, when these things happen and we stand by and watch it happen, we are no better than the people that we're trying to fight. So when this protest started, personally for me, I've been a victim of police brutality in so many ways, and it's an ongoing thing for me daily. It's not just a one-off thing for me. It's things that I go through coming from work and going back home. You know, for a lot of people, young people, a lot of us fear the police more than we actually fear criminals, right? And just the mentality of that in a country that's supposed to be progressive, that's supposed to be democratic, and supposed to have leaders who are there to serve us, and police who are meant to protect and serve us. For us to be there saying that we are more afraid of them than criminals, it's a very big statement. So for me, being out there, before all this happened, I feel that I'd already been having conversations with a lot of people about what will happen if, you know, Nigerian youth should come out and protest. It was a conversation I'd been having already a year in advance to this. So when all this started happening, like for me to give myself fully to the cause was not even like I didn't even second guess it for 1 second, because it was a thing now of we're fighting for our lives. Like Aisha said, you know, earlier, you know, this is a protest and a movement where we're really fighting for the right to live. That's really what we're asking for right now. And obviously it's opened doors to so many things that we've seen, you know, that's wrong with the system in Nigeria, that's wrong with governance in Nigeria, and it's wrong with politics in Nigeria. But I think just to in summary, answer Obina's question is that, and then to answer your question, corruption. Aisha said pretty much a lot of what I feel should be done, but also on a more basic level, like I said earlier, it starts from you as a person and us as a people within your immediate environment. Corruption has eaten so much into our culture. It's a culture right now in Nigeria, and I feel that it's eaten so much into our culture that it's become part of our daily lives. And I feel we have to cleanse ourselves also, as much as there needs to be an overhaul of the judicial system, that there needs to be a critical look into governance in Nigeria. We as people within our immediate environment need to understand that culturally corruption is eaten into our families and need to cleanse ourselves of that, and that we're able better help us to able move forward with clear minds of knowing how to solve problems too.
Thank you so much. This is amazing information that honestly we love to hear. I want to pass the next question on to Maria, who has also been working on this team.
Hi, my name is Maria. Like Sarah just kindly introduced me, and I am so very glad to be on this call with you and to be speaking with you. Thank you for everything you've already shared about all the things that you're fighting for, and from that perspective, me being in Nigeria, being on the ground, doing the grassroots work, and how important that is to movement like this that's become global. One of my questions for you is, or for the both of you, is how can this movement continue to be sustained past what we've already seen now? How can the momentum continue? A lot of people have been asking about now that the NSARS protests are kind of they are not as popular anymore, and they're dying down a little bit. How can we continue to motivate people to go out on the streets and protest and keep fighting?
Okay, so we need to go first, Nathan?
Yeah, go ahead, Aisha.
Okay. So basically, one of the things that has consistently been said is that it's a marathon. It's not a sprint. So it's not something about saying, okay, you have to be on the street, and then it happens today. No. First of all, the first thing that has been done is the awareness that has been created. And a lot of people are more, especially the young people, are more now into what is happening in the country, and they're already looking at different things. They just finished a meeting, a Zoom meeting on the way forward, and different people are taking on to different aspects of nation building, because they now know that, first of all, they have the numbers. First of all, they have the intelligence. They have the organizational skills. They have shown it in 2 weeks, and they can have the unity. They also, and they have tested that. So they're working towards building a Nigeria, looking at politics. I mean, in my country, politics is looked upon as a dirty thing to do. And I think that's being thrown away. They're working on that. They're working on awareness creation, most especially amongst the people who didn't understand what this is all about. Even amongst the thugs that were deployed to attack the NSAS protesters, most of them have felt the brunt of police brutality. They felt police brutality, but they were forced to be there because they needed that money. And that's what comes from when poverty has been weaponized. And so a good number of them are already engaging, are looking at how to engage them, empower them to ensure that at the end of the day, they are not ready tools that are going to be used. And also talking about the fact that there's this need for intergenerational bridge. I mean, like I've heard some of the NSAS protesters talk about the fact that, okay, youth were used against them. So they too need to use the older generation against the oppressors that they have right now. So quite a number of things are being done. But for me, the most important thing is that awareness that indeed there is a voice. And when you're united, you can actually use that voice to achieve results. And with what has happened in the US, of course, right now, again, it has reinforced that belief in them to know that when people come together and fight for a particular thing, definitely they will get it. Thank you.
I definitely mirror everything Aisha said. I think just to add to that, I think first of all, like she said, we've gone through like an awakening, some sort of awakening right now as a country, not just as youth, but as a country, because everybody who claims that maybe they didn't see that there was a problem in Nigeria has clearly seen that there are a lot of fundamental problems. And things that we're saying right now are not things that are new. We're just amplifying so much of the problems that have already been happening years and generations over time. That's one. Two, I think what needs to happen next is empowering, empowering the youth also, because I feel it's very important to note that, um, growing up, a lot of us learn certain things. A lot of us learn certain aspects of history that maybe have not been very accurate, maybe have not been, very factual, and maybe also not the full history of the country. So education and empowering them to know that they have the power to use their voice. And Aisha said this earlier, as a democracy, the people who have the most power are the people. Those are the people who have the most power. And people need to understand that their voices, their demands, and things that they want met are like paramount, because the leaders are there to serve us. And people need to understand that at a very basic level, from as young as possible, like she said, the primary, even from growing up before people even go to school, like understanding that from the household, that you have as much power, more power than you could actually think of as a citizen of a country, to demand better for yourself. It's not something that you need to beg for. It's not something that you have to ask for. You demand it as a citizen of a country. And then also when we talk about sensitization, going into, communities, because personally, I'm not the average Nigerian. I'm privileged, and I know that. The average Nigerian is not me. And knowing what the needs of the average Nigerian are help us to even know how we can solve certain problems better. Because the average Nigerian, and I talked about this with some other people, you won't see someone who is privileged being a part of the police force on so many levels, right? A lot of people who are put in the police force right now and protecting and serving are victims of a society that has not been kind to them, are victims of a system that have not done them well. So in moving through that society and navigating, they're always in their mind, it's a struggle mentality. I have to make mine for myself because I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. And a lot of them start off from schools, from the homes. So changing that mentality right now in a lot of our public schools, in a lot of our communities, is very, very important right now, because as battles are being fought on the front of people trying to see how they could change, not necessarily change, but effect ways to have better governance. On the other end, we should be at the same time simultaneously letting the young ones know, because a lot of the change, we say we want to see it in our generation, but like we say, it's a marathon. It's going to take some time. And I feel as a lot of this older generation is phasing out in government, the younger ones are starting to build a new culture of what good governance is, of what it means to be, what's the word? What it means to do the right thing, what it means to live in a country and demand better and get it, what it means to be a leader in a country. And I think they need to start understanding that from a very young age. And as they grow, the culture would have to start changing by itself. You wouldn't have to do anything too out of the ordinary. By the time they start learning it, that culture is going to be changed by them. Because right now, the system, for me, is not broken. It's working exactly how it's meant to be working, to oppress the people who they feel have the least power. And that's why I feel right now about moving forward.
Let me just add something also to what Nathan has said, the way he talked about the average Nigerian. And he not being the average Nigerian, one of the things that happened with the NSAS movement was that there was a convergence of, the elite and the non-elite. So first of all, these are young Nigerians who have never met on any level. And in the last 10 years, I've been shouting that we have a major problem in Nigeria. In those days, children will meet in school, whether you're from privileged home, you're from the less privileged home, you all met in public schools. Yeah. But right now, because access to good quality education is dependent on the economic status of one's family, so children of the same economic status are the ones who are meeting in their niches. And at one time, they all, after primary school, secondary school, they will meet in the university. But right now, because we have private universities, which are out of the reach of the children from less privileged home, and then most of them go abroad, they are no longer even meeting at all. And for me, one of the ways that this got into me was one time with my daughter. we were talking about her international passport. And then she was talking, and then she felt everybody had international passport. So myself and my husband, we looked at her and we laughed. And we were like, what makes you think everybody? And she looked at us and she said, well, everybody in my school has international passport. And that was when it dawned on me that, look, we have separated the children into classes, that they are no longer meeting each other. But with the EndSARS protest, there was that they were able to come together, meet together, and actually fight for something that affects all of them all. And I think that's a beautiful thing. And for our government to try to put a wedge on that's almost heinous. We need to encourage that. We didn't allow them to meet all this while now they're forming this beautiful relationship, working together to have a great nation. The least we can do is to support them. Thank you.